Workplace violence and harassment are among the most serious issues an organization can face. They can harm employees physically, emotionally, and psychologically, damage workplace culture, reduce productivity, and expose employers to significant legal and financial liability. For workplace investigators, these cases require immediate attention. Under occupational health and safety laws, as well as human rights legislation, employers often have a legal duty to investigate allegations of violence or harassment as soon as they become aware. Importantly, a formal written complaint is not always required. The obligation to act may arise from a verbal report, an anonymous tip, a witness observation, or even behavior that management directly observes. Once the employer knows, or reasonably should know, that a problem may exist, they are expected to take action. Let's begin by looking at workplace harassment. Harassment generally refers to unwelcome comments, conduct, or behavior that a reasonable person would recognize as offensive, intimidating, humiliating, or inappropriate. In many cases, harassment is connected to a protected characteristic such as race, religion, sex, disability, age, or other grounds protected by human rights laws. One common form of harassment is known as quid pro quo harassment, which literally means something for something. This occurs when a person in authority, such as a supervisor or manager, links employment benefits to compliance with personal or sexual demands. For example, promising a promotion in exchange for a date or threatening negative consequences if advances are rejected. Another form is the hostile work environment. This occurs when repeated offensive behavior becomes so severe or pervasive that it interferes with an employee's ability to work. Examples may include racist jokes, repeated sexual comments, offensive emails, derogatory nicknames, or persistent humiliation. Sexual harassment can take many forms, including unwanted advances, inappropriate comments, sexually suggestive jokes, or displaying offensive materials. While sexual in nature, these cases are often more about power, intimidation, and control than about attraction. Bullying is another behavior investigators frequently encounter. Although legal definitions vary by jurisdiction, bullying generally involves repeated actions intended to intimidate, isolate, embarrass, or undermine another person. This may include verbal abuse, spreading rumors, deliberate exclusion, or sabotaging someone's work. Now let's turn to workplace violence. Workplace violence includes not only physical assaults but also threats, attempted attacks, intimidation, and any behavior that could reasonably cause someone to fear for their safety. Many people believe workplace violence occurs suddenly without warning. In reality, violent behavior often develops gradually through a pattern of escalating conduct. In the early stages, an individual may become argumentative, uncooperative, or increasingly hostile toward coworkers. As tensions escalate, they may engage in intimidation, aggressive communication, repeated complaints, or threats. In more serious cases, the behavior may progress to property damage, physical aggression, or explicit threats of violence. The source of workplace violence can vary. It may come from customers, clients, contractors, current employees, former employees, or even domestic partners whose personal conflicts spill into the workplace. Because workplace violence and harassment present significant safety risks, employers have legal obligations under occupational health and safety laws to address them. These laws require employers to provide a workplace free from recognized hazards, and violence and harassment are now widely recognized as workplace hazards. When a complaint is received, the first priority is always safety. If there is an immediate threat, emergency services or law enforcement may need to be contacted. Medical assistance may also be required if someone has been injured. Employers should also consider interim measures to protect the individuals involved and preserve the integrity of the investigation. This may include temporarily separating employees, adjusting work schedules, changing reporting relationships, or placing the respondent on a non-disciplinary paid leave while the investigation is conducted. As investigators gather evidence, they should look for information that can either support or contradict the allegations. This may include emails, text messages, social media posts, security footage, photographs, access records, witness statements, or other relevant documents. In cases where there are conflicting accounts and limited evidence, investigators must carefully assess credibility. This involves considering factors such as consistency, plausibility, corroborating evidence, witness behavior, and whether there is a history of similar incidents. Once the investigation is complete, employers must determine what action is appropriate. Disciplinary measures may include coaching, written warnings, suspension, or termination, depending on the seriousness of the conduct. However, effective responses should also address the root causes of the problem. This may involve updating policies, improving reporting procedures, providing additional training, or strengthening workplace culture. Where harm has occurred, organizations should also consider measures to support affected employees. This may include restoring lost opportunities, correcting workplace records, providing access to employee assistance programs, or offering other forms of support. Ultimately, the best approach to workplace violence and harassment is prevention. Clear policies, regular training, strong leadership, and consistent enforcement of workplace standards help create a culture where inappropriate behavior is addressed early before it escalates into a serious problem. For investigators, understanding workplace violence and harassment is critical. These cases often involve significant legal, safety, and human impacts, making thorough, fair, and timely investigations essential to protecting both employees and the organization.